Good evening, YouTubers. Welcome back in to another edition of Astros Recap. David Artis back at it here. Back at the iHeartMedia studios. It is 5:35 p.m. April 21st, 2024. So another week is in the books for the Astros, and things, if you can believe it, got worse. Got worse this week. They get swept by Atlanta. They go into Washington, the series that you felt like, a team you could beat. And they win on Friday as Verlander has a good start coming back, but lose on Saturday and Sunday. A lot of directions to go here. We're going to try to keep this at about 20 minutes, so it might be a lot to shove in here. Again, I got news every 30 minutes. I got a live show tonight. Usually I get on around 6, 6:30, 7. In between 6 and 7, a little earlier today because I have that live show. But, yeah, there's not a lot of good baseball to talk about. This is an interesting scenario. Yeah, early season baseball is exciting because it's new, it's fresh. It's a new season. You're trying to play good baseball. The Astros haven't really done a whole lot of that. They usually, they're right around 500. I feel like even their best years, they don't necessarily get out of the gate super hot. But they're in a position where this is eerily similar to 2016. You remember 2016? They got out of the gates. They were 7-17 out of the gates. Now, that season was a struggle. They didn't get back to 500 till like June or July or something like that. And they made a few pushes, to get themselves close, but they can never really get back into it. It just felt like, And that was a tough season after making the playoffs in 2015. 2016 was a rough season. I mean, they missed the playoffs. They didn't have 84-78 was their final record, so it wasn't terrible. But after making the playoffs, it was a disappointing season. I mean, you're expecting to go back to the playoffs and maybe get a step further. They didn't do it. And in 17, obviously, they win the World Series. So they skipped any steps and they just made it all the way and they won it all. But yeah, I won't get into all that, but they're in that same spot. I mean, they're 7-16. They went 1-5 this week. To quickly recap the games here, the Atlanta series, every game seemed close. Well, the first two were very similar. Hunter Brown did bounce back on Tuesday. I think Artis got the start Monday. I have to go back and look at this here to get this for you. The games got away late. Yeah, Artis got the start Monday. It wasn't terrible. 2 runs in the second inning. Didn't give them a very much length, but I wanted to see improvement. I think we did get, 4 innings, 4 hits, 200 runs, walked 2, struck out 5. Not great. He just got called back up. Try to get to that in a minute when it comes to the injury report for you. But yeah, Martinez got an inning, solid inning. Montero got 5 outs. They tried to get him through 2 innings, which wasn't a good idea. Really, the story of the game was Abreu got through that 7th inning and pitched the 8th. Was pretty solid. He walked a guy, didn't strike out anybody, but other than that, was pretty good. Hader was the issue here. He goes into the 9th inning, down a run, just trying to keep things where they're at, and he gives up 4 singles. He gets tagged with all 4 runs, all of them earned. Belak came in to get 2 outs. I think he allowed a few of the inherited runners there. But Hader was just awful. Awful, awful. Walked a guy, struck out a guy, but it wasn't a save situation. They probably don't win that game, but I'd feel good about giving our hitters a chance. And our hitters stink right now, by the way. But giving our hitters a chance down 1 run rather than... Yeah, he basically put the game out of reach. So I can blame him for that, but I can't say the Astros necessarily win that game. And the Tuesday game was actually very similar. It was a 1-run game, it felt like, for a while. Atlanta puts up a 4-run 9th to really open it up. But they were up 2-0 going into the 9th inning. Hunter Brown did bounce back in this game, so he had back-to-back horrific starts. That game in Kansas City, and before that against the Rangers, where he was terrible in both. pitched into the 7th. That's when he ran into trouble. So Sean Dubin, a newly reliever, called up. He got a cup of tea in the big leagues last year. He's not a name I'm unaware of. But bringing up guys from the minors to eat up some innings because the bullpen's been so taxed is why Dubin's up right now. But he actually came in and he actually helped Hunter Brown out because Hunter Brown, who pitched in the 7th, loaded the bases, I think, with nobody out here. So let's see if I can get that scenario for you here. But yeah, he pitched into the 7th, gave up a double. He walked a guy, walked back-to-back guys to load the base with nobody out. And then, yeah, he gets taken out, so Dubin gets put in the jam. But he gets a sac fly, a strikeout, and a ground out, allowing only one of those runs to score. So he did a good job helping Hunter Brown out, making it. He could have, went 6+, given up 4 runs, but ended up only being 2. But both those games just, not leading, but keeping it close, and then having the game get out of reach in the 9th inning. I mean, they gave up 4 runs in the 9th inning in both those games, which opened it up and really gave our offense not much of a chance in the 9th. But the offense is an issue. I mean, you got to score more than... They were shut out for one game. Got to make sure I keep an eye on this. But the offense is a lot to blame for this as well. They deserve more and more blame as the days go by. So, and then the Wednesday game was the one you needed to get. They were up 4-2 late. Dubon hit a home run. Jordan Alvarez hit a home run. J.P. France pitched well. Went 5 innings, but 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 4 strikeouts, walked a guy. But Montero got in a clean inning in the 6th. Abreu got through the 7th. That was a good Abreu appearance. And then Presley screwed it all up. And he's screwed up numerous games this year. Because he screwed up one yesterday that I can't get over. And then today was just pathetic. Just flat-out pathetic performance. But there's something wrong with Presley right now. I don't know. There's something wrong. He's not the guy. Not the guy he was last year. Hader bounced back, striking out the side. But Hader's a problem. Even Brian Abreu, who's been their best, has got an ERA, I think, slightly under 5. He hasn't been perfect. I mean, a lot of his outings, he goes out there and he creates traffic, whether given a base hits, walks. He's got to work around a lot of traffic. He's been able to get out of it, but Abreu hasn't been solid, but he's been the best guy in that bullpen in terms of the 3 guys that you look at. So, yeah. I mean, what was supposed to be a strength of the team when it comes to the bullpen, especially the back 3, has been the opposite. They've been a weakness. Seth Martinez has been pretty good. He's given a few runs now. He had a ERA 0 for the first few weeks there, but he gave up a 3-run shot against Texas in a game the Astros had a comfortable lead in, so it didn't affect him last Sunday. And then he gave up a few more runs this week. So, but Rafael Montero's been the best reliever in the bullpen. Surprising, but he's been very good, very good. So. He's a guy that should see more probably leverage situations, especially if this can't get figured out. But I've said this in the past. I mean, they're going to continue to go to these guys. I mean, they're going to hope that it works itself out at some point. But they're not going to shy away from Abreu, Presley, and Hader. They're going to give them all the opportunities. It's just not going to change. But you got Montero there, who's pitched very well. I wouldn't mind seeing him mixed in some of these situations, whether it's 7th, 8th, 9th. I mean, but Presley scares me, I think, the most out of the 3. That could change next week. I mean, Hader's right behind him, so it's not like Hader's pitching very well. Abreu, I mean, if you continue to play with fire the way he has, it's going to burn him at some point if he continues to do what he's doing. But out of the 3 guys, he is the best. But that Wednesday game was a tough one because you're up 4-2. Presley pitches into the 8th. I think he gives up a base hit, a double. Atlanta set up. They scored both those runs. One of those runs was unearned. If you can guess who had committed a terrible error in the field, Jose Abreu, who just gets worse and worse every single game he's thrown out there. But he committed an error. So one of the runs, Presley could have gotten out of that inning still with the lead, but the error caused an unearned run to score in that situation. Tied it. They go to extras. And Astros and extras, it's just death. Like, they have no shot in extra innings. They don't know what to do. I think that ghost runner at second base just confuses the hell out of them, and they just completely lose. It's inexplicable to me how they cannot find a way to get that runner home. Pisses me off. Every extra inning game. I mean, they're gifting you a run at second base, and you can't just get him home. Make productive outs. Play fundamental baseball. They can't do it. I mean, Abreu's abysmal first baseman. Can't do anything at the plate. So, yeah, I'm at a point now where I'm past. It's not early anymore. They play 23 games. I don't want to hear about slow starts. It's early. You're 7-16. You're 7-16. That's the problem. I don't care if they're only 4 or 5 games out of first place. I don't care about any of that. It's time to turn this around. You had a get-right series. You played the Nationals. Okay? The fact that you lose 2 or 3, they've been swept 3 times this year. It's getting to a point. Somebody step up. Somebody be a leader. Somebody have a players-only meeting. Do something. Change it up. Whatever you're doing is not working. And I say it every day, and just this team looks like they don't care. They look like they're just going through the motions. It's inexcusable. This is just awful. Off day Thursday. Sucky off day. Always sucks to go on an off day. Awful losing streak. But Verlander pitched well Friday. They scored a few runs, a few early runs in the second inning. And they get through it. I mean, Hader was the biggest sort of... he was awful in the 9th inning. He got lucky to get out of that with a save. Goes in with a 3-run lead, and the dude can't throw strikes. I mean, Hader's been bad, too. But they put up some early runs. You know, Diaz had an RBI double. Pena had an RBI single. McCormick had an RBI single. So the second inning, they put up 3 runs. They were able to tack on a few extra ones. Dubon had an RBI single. Or it was a 2-run single, actually. I think they scored 2 runs on that play, yeah, but Hader was he got through it, but still it wasn't. You take the wins any way you can get them, but the Hader was just laboring out there through 30 pitches, couldn't really do a whole lot. I mean, I'm trying to find his line here, give me a second. 2 hits. Gave up a run. It was earned. Walked a guy. Struck out 2, but he struggled. He wasn't good. Presley actually got in there in the 8th and got a hold. Abreu also. So he used the Verlander for 6 and the 3 guys the back end. It worked out, but it wasn't pretty per se. Yesterday, another game they blew. Hader was down. Not that I trust him if he pitched in the 9th inning anyway, but Presley blew it in the 9th inning, getting a save opportunity. And then extra innings, once again, the Astros can't get that runner home, and sure enough, 1 pitch, Seth Martinez gives it up. Of course, it's hard to blame Seth Martinez, the runner at second base, scored for him. But 1 pitch, kind of like the Kansas City game, where Kansas City tied it late, and the 1 pitch to Salvi Perez hit a double. That was, again, Wander Suero pitched in that 10th inning. This one, Seth Martinez gets the loss. That run's unearned, of course, but that's a game that slipped away. Again, slipped away. And then today, they do a pathetic performance. They lose 6-0. 4 hits. I think they were all singles. Big news, actually, before the game was that Christain Javier got scratched from the start. And not only did he get scratched, they put him on the IL with neck discomfort. So here comes back Here comes the discomfort again. Another pitcher. So Hunter Brown had to move up a day. Now, with the day off, still on regular rest, but he goes out there and I guess he gave you some innings, but he only went 4, gave up 3 in the first. Things could have been a lot worse for Hunter Brown, but the ERA, he gets a lot. 0-4 this year. Hunter Brown's 0-4. A lot of these pitchers' records are bad because the offense can't do dick anyway, so excuse my language. But yeah, I mean, the offense, nothing. They get shut out. They were pathetic. Something needs to be done. I don't know, but I'm past concerned. I'm borderline panic mode now. And panic is the worst possible spot you can be in. But another off day, another suckish off day, off 2 losses. Monday, tomorrow. 3 games in the north, up there in Chicago to play the Cubs, north side. And then they go to Mexico, and they have another off day Friday. A lot of off days here. Another off day Friday, and they play a short 2-game set in Mexico before they come back home with another off day next Monday. A lot of off days. Shoot, they get 4 off days in the span of less than 2 weeks. So, yeah. But yeah, it's all bad right now. There's so many directions. Starting pitching, actually, for the most part, it's been the only bright spot. Bernal Blanco, another good start for him. Should have won the game yesterday, but Presley blew it, and Presley blew his outing before that too. I mean, Presley's been a solid closer for us for the last 2.5 years. He's been, very reliable. I'm not buying the whole you take him out of the closer's role. Whatever excuse you want to make, I'm not buying any excuses. Your job's to get 3 outs. I don't care if that's the first inning or the 9th inning. You get 3 outs. That's your job, okay? I don't care. But Hader's not a great closer right now either. And Brian Abreu likes to play with fire every inning he pitches in. So, the back 3, they're all bad. Bullpen's an issue. Offense. I have to spend time talking about how dreadful the offense is. Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, Abreu's not going to play as much. I think they're going to slowly fade him out of this thing. And if they don't, they're stupid. But I want to point the finger here. I'm going to try to make this quick. People can blame a spot. I'm not going to do it. People can blame. The players got to play. So at the end of the day, the players are who you blame. But I'm going to point the finger at one specific person, Jim Christain. And this is something I wanted to talk about last week. I ended up not doing. But Jim Christain is killing this team. Did he not learn anything from his offseason after the 2022 season? After they won the World Series and they fired James Click, did he not learn anything from that whole fiasco? Signing Montero to 3 years, he was just dreadful last year for him. You basically flushed $12 million down the toilet by re-signing Brantley, who didn't play last year. And then the Abreu contract, which wasn't terrible when it was made, but, you're just killing. He's killing this team. And your excuse can't be you're paying him $20 million so he has to play. You're paying him $20 million to hurt this team every single time he's out there. Offensively, he's dreadful. Defensively, he's dreadful. He kills you on both sides of the ball. At least play good defense if you can't hit. Can't do it. When we got this guy, we're thinking, all right, he's going to hit better than Yuli. But I was concerned about the first base issue defensively out there. And I thought last year things weren't terrible. Few early errors, but I felt like for the most part at first base he was pretty good last year. This year, no. He can't do anything. Has no range. Can't dig balls out of the dirt. Can't judge fly balls. I didn't bring up part of the Presley issue yesterday. Abreu missed a pop-up. Pop-up, he went back, and you just couldn't catch it. Inexcusable. That was actually before Presley came in the game, but that did lead to a run for the Nationals earlier in the game. And yeah, when you lose by a run, those plays that cost you runs end up being big problems. But I'm going to make this quick. Jim Christain, let's go back to when he bought the team, bringing in Jeff Luhnow. Smart hire. And he stayed out of the way. He said, Luhnow, do your thing. He basically said, here's our budget, do what you got to do, and it worked. And Luna brought in his people that did not know baseball. He brought in his numbers people. He brought in his mathematicians. And if you want to, knock analytics and all the numbers and stuff, it worked. It worked. He built this team. He got him a World Series in 2017. 18 they were good. 19 they were good. 20 they weren't very good. 21 they were. 22 they were. That's all Luno. Luno still is what he made this team, the roster and the numbers and the people and the scouts, his entire team is responsible for how good they've been. Jim Crane fires him. Want a clean slate. I understand that. He hired James Click. That was a good hire. James Click made moves both years, 21, 22. Made the team better. But you fired him because he didn't get along with Dusty. Some disconnect in the front office there. But you fired him. And you hired Dana Brown, who I think is a pretty good GM, but I don't know. You don't let him do his job. You don't let him... You put people like Jeff Bagwell, Craig Biggio, and Reggie Jackson as your advisors, and Dana Brown sits in the back and just, maybe you let him draft, but that's about it. I can't. Why would you go away from what worked? Jim Crane, or Jeff Luhnow, everything he did. Let Dana Brown do his job, please, and just stay out of it. Stay out of all the decision making. Just sit back, hold the checkbook out, and let Dana Brown do what he does. Because you are killing this team. And I said this when you fired him. When you fired Jeff Luhnow, I said, just wait, you're going to regret that. And here we are, and it's not an immediate thing. Do your thing. Here we are 4 years later. If they don't climb out of this, and I want to keep, positive. I want to be positive. I want to think this will get turned around. Very well might. But, look at your resume compared to Jeff Luhnow and James Click. And why would you turn to idiots like Jeff Bagwell and Reggie Jackson and Craig? I don't want... You know how I want running my team? No-name former players like Dana Brown. I don't think Jeff Luhnow ever played. But he's a smart person. And he built the Cardinals into a 20-year, multi-decade franchise that's competing in the playoffs every year. And he was doing that with the Astros. You let him go. But I point the finger right at Jim Crane. People want to blame Jeff Bagwell, Reggie Jackson, Craig Biggio. I blame who put him in charge. And that's Jim Crane. But yeah, off day, suckish off day tomorrow. And we'll move forward playing the Cubs. And hopefully it's done. The hole has been dug. Hole has been dug. So hitters, get your shit together. Start hitting. Bregman. Abreu, you're a lost cause. Bregman, step it up. Alvarez, I'd move the lineup around. I'd put Pena back in the 2-hole. He's proven he can hit. He's one of the few bright spots. Him and Blanco, I feel like, are the few bright spots of the team. But I'd move Pena to the 2-hole, put Alvarez back at 3 or 4. Because those are your best hitters right now. McCormick hasn't done enough. Meyers hasn't done enough. I got to get going. So I'll wrap things up. We'll see you next Sunday or Monday, whenever I get back on.